Hello. This is Friday, March 29th, 2024. This is a sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. And in this area of Kentucky, Lexington, the temperature will go all the way up to 69 degrees today. Currently, it's around 44 degrees and feels like 39. Now, the special weather statement until Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And in this area today, there will be times of sun and clouds, highs in the upper 60s and lows in the low 50s. Drone shows devastation after cyclone. This was off the coast of Africa in the island of Madagascar. Day rain possible Saturday evening. Sunrise, 7:27 a.m. Sunset at 7:58 p.m. The wind will be around 10 miles per hour, and the AQI is good. Although pollen is high today in this area, conditions for running, good. So, as I say, if you're watching the sideshow on Facebook and Instagram, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Talk about it on WhatsApp. If you're watching the sideshow on YouTube, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And the sideshow coffee cup, black 11-ounce ceramic, dishwasher safe. Good for all beverages, hot and cold. Buy from me for $17 plus shipping and handling. Pay me through Cash App, $ TR Parker 1. Yes, it is Friday, the last weekend in March. Say in like a lamb, out like a lion, in like a lion, out like a lamb. Speaking of March and its temperament, some of the leading stories in the news today: Baltimore Harbor and the container ship. I wanted to talk about that for a minute because we know this is something that probably doesn't happen with frequency. And Baltimore Harbor is a busy port. But some of the things that struck me about it was just the size of the ship. You know, when I looked at some of the first videos, some of the questions that came across my mind was, you know, the ship stacked too high or whatever the case may be that made it run into the bridge. Because the way the containers are stacked on a ship of that size is 10 high, and they're counted in stacks. And there were 20,000 containers on that ship. Just looking at it is just mind-boggling that you can put that much weight on a ship and it still move. But Baltimore Harbor itself has some peculiarities in moving a ship of that size. You have to consider water displacement. There's anchors on both sides of the ship that are manned according to the captain's instructions. When it's under power and underway, there are also undercurrents in the harbor that also have to be considered. So, as the story was relayed in the media, this particular ship out of India, the Dali, was scheduled to go to Sri Lanka. So, because of the conflict that's of the two ways to get around in the Atlantic and the Pacific, is either through the Panama Canal or through the Suez Canal. But because of the conflict in the Suez Canal area with Gaza Strip and things of that nature, the captain was going to choose another route that would take a trip that would make the trip that normally would take a week extend to 2 weeks. So the crew, sometimes year 22, sometimes year 21, had brought on extra supplies from the Walmart for the additional time that they would be en route. So the captain had chose, I guess, from Baltimore to go up, come around the tip of South Africa, and then over to Sri Lanka, which is off of India. So just those changes alone, the crew was probably in a stage of adjustment and things of this nature. But as they were leaving the harbor, they lost power. So some of the newest information is that it probably had something to do with the fuel mixture. Somehow or another, the fuel was not at its proper mixture, standard contaminated fuel, however you want to say it. And that caused the ship's power and to go out. So just navigating with a ship of that size, under those conditions, it would take a mile or maybe even 2 miles for it to come to a full stop. So without means of steering or navigation or any other controls, I'm thinking initially, was the ship too tall to go under the bridge? But that's just an initial reaction, because ships come and go in that harbor all the time. But what happened without lack of steering and control, the ship ran into one of the 2 support beams for the bridge and knocked one of those out, which, if you notice in all the media pictures, the bridge is collapsed onto the bow of the ship. So that's kind of like the explanation on that. So besides the captain warning the authorities that the ship had lost control, the workers on the bridge also noticed it and sent out warnings as well. So with the reaction of the authorities and stopping the traffic and things of that nature, in last reports earlier this week, starting Wednesday morning from early Tuesday night in the AM, that there have been searches for the bodies of the crew members that were working on the bridge. They were doing pothole repairs, and it was 6 of them. And my understanding is that most of them were of Hispanic workers. So their families have had their comments and things of that nature to go along with this disaster. So I just wanted to kind of bring those points out to you as a capsulized update on what has happened in Baltimore Harbor. So some of the lead stories in the news today. Baseball season has officially started. So now we have baseball, hot dogs, and apple pie. Going through the spring into the summer. Kentucky loses first player to transfer portal in a major blow for Calipari's next roster. Sophomore guard Theodore entered the portal on Thursday, UK confirmed to the Herald Leader. The 6'8" player from Leedsdale, Pennsylvania, will explore his transfer options with 2 seasons of eligibility remaining. Next, Black endurance is not enough to end white supremacy. We must also resist. This was an interesting article, point of view. if you would like to follow up on it. Owner of ship that crashed into Baltimore Bridge will likely try to invoke 1851 law used to cap damages after Titanic disaster. I understand that the Dali was a ship out of India, manned by an Indian crew of 22. Torre, who is a journalist, makes a shocking claim that Diddy firing his family member for turning down his request to stay the night. As you know, this has been breaking news for the last several days about the music mogul, Sean Combs, being accused of sex trafficking, amongst other things. So this is one of the newest articles to surface. DEA comes out of the shadows to ensure cannabis rescheduling process is not being done under shroud of secrecy. As you know, the DEA is drug enforcement agency, and I would imagine they do have some input on how drugs are scheduled, viewed by the government. Diddy's alleged neighbor who claimed mogul brought buses of minors home was trolling, mother says. This particular article, it seems that when the feds raided Diddy's home, 2 men pulled up in a car and started making remarks about Diddy having busloads of minors coming in. So the person who spoke, the man's mother spoke up and said, he's not his neighbor. Excuse me. He does live in the area, but not next door. And he really would have no way of knowing what was going on over at Diddy's house at the time. So his mother stepped in and corrected that impression that he was trying to create. Sad, sad day. You'll be missed, buddy. Rest in peace. Stephen A. Smith and NFL community pay homage to Chris Mortensen. Ben Affleck wants you to know that he doesn't care about being cut from Aquaman 2 because he's making a killing on Netflix. Republican passed bill removes role of Democratic governor if Senate vacancy occurs in Kentucky. Those of you who reside in the state of Kentucky know that Mitch McConnell, amidst comments about aging politician, has decided to step down from his role in government, which also includes United States Congress. So this article is related to that, how it will be handled if there are any vacancies that occur. So, Friday, March 29th, 2024, heading into the last weekend of March. I think this is referred to as Good Friday, Easter. That's it. Hashtag.